very long story short, then the spirit of unity was there during the 18 days. People were together, they had a common goal, and they achieved their common goal. Supposedly they achieved the goal. And then at 19th of March 2011, the government, or the regime, the SCAF at that time, decided to make the great constitutional referendum to split the nation. They just did it to divide and conquer. And that's when we decided to make our movement, the Salafia Costa movement. During that time, there were several accidents of, like 3 churches were burned, and Salafists were to be blamed for the burning of the churches. Anyways, I met a Christian guy in the streets. I was like, his name is Basim Victor. And I was like, Basim, we hate each other. He's like, yes. And I was like, I have no problem that we do hate each other. My issue is that a church that will be burned like in downtown, in Baba, those 2 neighborhoods, and they will get me arrested like 100 kilometers away in 6th of October. So some way or another, your issues are affecting my life, my personal life. So we have to do something. And Basim, he's a typical Orthodox. He's like, okay, let's make the interfaith dialogue. Let's have a lovely hall, and people start talking peacefully. I was like, Basim, we have been doing this for the past 40 years. Did it work? He's like, it never worked. I was like, I'm not willing to do it anymore. He's like, what can we do to bring those 2 extremists together? We decided, I told him, let's play football. And still Basim believing in this very spiritual, peaceful thing. Okay, the team will be mixed to, I said, no, there will be a Christian Orthodox team against a very hardcore Salafi team. Very bearded guys, they will play football together. And we did it. We played a lovely match. Why we chose football? In a football match, you will find everything. All the human expressions will be there. You will find him happy, sad, angry, swearing, hitting, kicking, everything. You'll have coffee. And that's what we need. I need to see the real you, the real side. Because dialoguing in Egypt, they turn to be an alternative for reality. We sit and talk, we drink lovely coffee, then we leave. It's doing nothing in Egypt. So we have issues of dialogue in Egypt. And we started this movement to develop. Why it's called Salafia Costa might be a good question. I was subject to a discrimination, accident. I work in the IT field as a business consultant, and I had 2 meetings in 2 different zones, and it's like 45 kilometers far from the 2 meetings. And I had a gap, and I couldn't go to the headquarters of my company. So I asked the secretary, I told her, please tell the team to come to Costa. Let's meet at Costa, the Costa coffee chain. Let's meet at Costa to prepare for the coming meeting. And the lady was like, no, I will not tell the team. I was like, please do tell the team because we are in a hurry and we need to prepare for it. And I was like, no, you're making fun of me. I was like, why? And she said, Salafists don't sit at Costa. So I laughed, actually. I was like, why won't they sit at Costa? And she was like, do you want to tell me that you drink cappuccino? And I was like, with caramel flavor. And she's like, no way. And so you want to tell me that you eat chocolate cake? I was like, yes, with extra topping. And simply she didn't call the team, and it was for her something, unbelievable. And I got so angry, and I felt so offended. It's a cappuccino, So I decided to go online and to make a group called Salafiyu Costa, which means in Arabic, the Salafists who sit at Costa. It was to be a joke to make fun of the young lady, and she was the only member in the group. I invited her to make fun of her. And we took the logo of Costa, I'm not sure it's gonna sue us or not, and I removed the 3 beans in the Costa logo, and we put a bearded guy. So that the lady would understand that yes, we sometimes have to sit at Costa to prepare for a business meeting, to drink a cappuccino and have a chocolate cake. And then I stopped for a while and said, maybe she's not the only one who doesn't believe that we sit at Costa. So I started inviting people from different ideologies to have this dialoguing issue, and it was a mess. People started fighting each other for no good reason. You know, he would go for like sabah al-khair or good morning. It's like, don't tell me good morning, say salam alaikum. And it's like, I would say sabah al-khair, not salam alaikum. And then I was holding a pen and starting to write rules and guidance for discussion that please say sabah al-khair when you go, don't say salam alaikum, and so on. And we did something, the group, to make the long story short, the group currently has 25,000 members. And we started to write our own constitution, we started to try to interact with the government, to try to promote our idea, to spread what I call societal peace. And the government at the beginning was so open, and they invited us for a hearing session while writing the great Egyptian constitution. They invited us for a hearing session, and because our name is Salafiyu, which is Salafists, so they invited us in the Islamist day. And the thing is that we don't believe in anything called Islamists, and we consider this as some sort of, classification. They are classifying people based on the name and based on how they look. So we sent our spokesman, a very conservative Orthodox. His name is Bassem Victor, and we sent him in the Islamist day with the scholars and shoe, wearing jalabiyat, and he said a lovely speech, and the guys were like, Bassem, the Christians should come tomorrow. He's like, no, I'm coming for Salafi Costa. I was like, where are the beards? And I'm like, it's me. And we proposed 42 recommendations for the constitutions, and most of them goes around discrimination and minority rights and so on. I don't say that I'm good at this minority rights. I'm not the perfect person to speak about human rights, but we agreed in certain issues, and which are not conflicting for both of us, the Christians and the Salafists. And maybe Ammar, when he was introducing me, he said that my daughters are Maria and Serena, which are classified as Christian names in Egypt. And I did that on purpose, because I don't want people to be classified based on their names. So she's the only Maria, that I know. And she's very proud that she's a Maria. She's 5 years old. And I do love her so much, and I miss her badly. I'm trying to give you an indication how the Egyptian society is a highly discrimination society, and how we don't have a society. It's, we don't know how to dialogue. We treat people differently based in your religion, gender, even where you live. So people living in the city will be treated differently than people living in the countryside and so on. And I'm not speaking about regime and people. No, I'm saying about people and people. We do practice discrimination against each other on all levels, based on color, on everything. So one funny story to add, that I take my young daughters for shopping before Jum'ah prayer, every Jum'ah prayer, to Carrefour. And for no good reason, I don't have the reason why. Christians usually make their shopping before Jum'ah prayer at Carrefour. So it's a mall, and people and my dogs keep running and so on. They have this space. So there are so many Marias, you know, because Maria is usually, Christians usually name their daughter with Maria. So for the very few days that Maria will find other Marias to play with, and whenever I show up, they leave. Which is, you know, I can understand this. I take my children to a club called Shooting Club, and it's a bit Islamic conservative club, a bit. And I leave my daughter to play, and simply the young girls, when they see my daughter named Maria, they will not play with her, because they think that she is a Christian. Until I show up, and they start treating her friendly. So I faced both cases, you see. I'm trying to give you things about this society we're living in. When Salafi Costa started to be, we started to try to solve the problem in non-classical ways. So we did our first comic movies. It's called Aina Widni, Aina Mahalli, Aina Batikhti, which is where is my ear, where is my store, and where is my watermelon. It is subtitled in English. We can upload it one day. It was a shock for my brother is a filmmaker, and he's he's writing scenarios. And he was like, Muhammad, we have to solve the issue between us after the revolution. I said, okay, fine. And he's like, let's make a movie. I was like, what movie? It's like, let's make a 50 minutes comic movie, and you will be one of the, stars. And it's like, okay, so Salafi was gonna be an actor, and it's gonna be comic. So it's a great failure. I assure you that we're not going to take Oscar by any means. And he insisted, and we did the movie, and it's, for some reason, it was taken by some American universities to study the case, that we became some, laboratory, creatures. We did the movie, and it helped a lot to bring people together. And then we did the second movie and the third movie. We stand in the opposition side for no good reason. But what I want to say is that the people in Egypt are very scared from each other. And the people in Egypt, they don't believe in living together. They have great issues regarding living together. So what do I expect? Again, I don't have this magic stick, but I had joined most of the early clashes between the police and the Ministry of Interior, because I do hate the Ministry of Interior. I have some personal issues in Hurghada with the Ministry of Interior, and I'm not sure if anybody heard about the Mohammed Mahmoud clashes, the very famous Mohammed Mahmoud clashes. I want to tell you that everything happened was randomly. Mohammed Mahmoud is the street where the Minister of Interior is there. Everything was random, nothing was planned for. I went to the front lines, I had my stone, and I was running, and I'm fat, and I can't run quickly. And I run beside those, the ultras members, who are the Al-Ahli fan club members. They're so young, and they're so thin, and they can so fast. So while running with them, I was left out. And they are planning how to run and how to confront and so on. And I was like, I cannot do like what they, like them. So So anyways, we started running back and so on, back and forth, back and forth. That was simply, if nobody knows what's Mohammed Mahmoud, it was the day before. It was in the 19th of November 2011. There was those families for the victims of the revolution who decided to sit in for, asking for their rights and so on. And the thing is, the police started to attack them badly, so all the people went to the streets defending the families. So, the Egyptian revolution, I'm going to ask some questions. Did we make a revolution for a constitution? Did we make a revolution for a parliament, to have a parliament? Did we make a revolution to have an elected, a democratic election for the president? I'll say my answers. We might debate, and I love debates, but not like the British Parliament. We did not do a revolution for the Parliament, to have a Parliament, or to have a constitution, or to have a president. The main reason we did a revolution is that we wanted dignity, and we had personal issues. Most of the Egyptians had personal issues with the Ministry of Interior, the police. That's it. Full stop. So whenever we call for reforming for the police department or the Ministry of Interior, they go, okay, let's make a constitution. But we have issues with the police. Okay, let's finalize the parliamentary elections. So we did a constitution, a horrible constitution, and we did a horrible parliament, and we had a very nice president. Okay, not so nice, but anyways, at least he came by elections, it was, we have to accept this. Anyways, so we had the parliament, we had the constitution, and we had the president. Can we look for the police? And the answer was no. Simply because they cannot. The police is more powerful than the people. If you know the war that happened between the Israelis and the Egyptians in the 60s, 1967. So that was the Khamsa Yunyu, or the 5th of June war. The military officers, after the 5th of June, I was not born, but they felt, so bad, and they needed the 6th of October. They needed something to, to be able to survive. Same goes for the police. After the 28th of Jan 2011, the police is looking for a 6th of October for them. So that's why Mohamed Mahmoud clashes took place. That's why Majlis al-Wazara, yes, but again, the police is looking for this day, for any day, for any victory. He needs to be in control. The problem is, in Mohamed Mahmoud clashes, 73 Egyptians died. Young Egyptians died. The average age was like 18 years old. In Majlis al-Wazara, clashes like maybe 35 young Egyptians died. So we had to stop because, people are dying, and we had to ask the question, does it worth it? And I had to ask the question, why we never see the leaders or the scholars from both sides who call for this confrontation, why they don't join us? Why don't they go to the streets? Why we never see any of them dead, injured, insulted? So they stay in lovely rooms air-conditioned, fancy studios, and they, spread hatred speeches for the young people, and they go confrontation, and they kill each other for no good reason. So, what is expected for the future? Whether we like it or not, we have an elected president. We accepted the parliamentary as one of the main, Egyptian revolution demands to have a parliament, which is not true. And we accepted the lovely constitution as one of the Egyptian revolution demands, which is not true. At the moment, we are having a regime who used to live underground for the past 60 years, and a regime that is very scared from the people, and a regime who will always make sure to win any debate that he is supported by the people. Which is fine. If they have good reason, fine. But the good side is that the regime used to, I was speaking with the guys before you come, whether we should educate the people or try to tell the people their rights and the people would then call for the rights, or whether we should go to the streets and enforce change, or whether we should use the current elected institutions. It's a debate. Nobody knows actually. We had several, crises in Egypt, economic crisis in Egypt, and it is affecting and touching, the poor, basically, who don't really care about the constitution, the president, the opposition parties, anything. They are asking for very basic stuff, which is clean water, electricity. They're not asking for education, by the way. They're asking for, they don't want to be kidnapped from the streets by the police officers. And those are their demands. When you go to the streets, those are their demands. Very basic, very human, and very simple. So, the thing is that in the past, when for example, when the doctors used to strike, the poor people who are suffering from the healthcare system used to go and attack the strike. Because the government or the national TV, which is state-owned TV, and we are one of the very few countries in the world that the state owns the TV and operates the TV. So they will go for those doctors, they are corrupted, they want to raise their, salaries and wages, they want to leave you dying, and they will start, somebody in, in a village who died because of the doctor strike, and how inhuman can you see? So the people went to the street and they attacked the doctor strike. I was very close to the doctor strike. I'm not a doctor, but I was very close following these strikes because it's something new in Egypt and something new for me, person. So I wanted to learn what are these guys doing, and they managed the strike in a very modern way. The emergency units did not strike. 30 to 40% of the medical institution was working. Only 60% was striking. And so on. They manage it, in a way. They're trying to pressure the government. But the thing is, when you find that the suffered people, the people suffering, are the ones who are attacking the strikes, it's like, again, people are attacking people. Very simple. Taxi drivers. Taxi drivers in Egypt are the most, regime supporters, no matter who is the regime. Taxi drivers supported Hosni Mubarak, supported SCAF, supported Muslim Brotherhood. They will support anybody saying lovely speeches about stabilization, good conditions, and all these lovely statements. And the good news is, when I take a taxi, and I rarely take a taxi, I usually try to find out whether the guy, the driver, is with the revolution or anti-revolution. Because based on this, I will complete the dialogue. So if he's with the revolution, I was like, yes, the revolution is something nice, the rebels are so brave, and so on. And if it's anti-revolution, I was like, oh, of course, the rebels are bad people, no stability, and so on. Because he will take you for like 2 or 3 hours, crossing the streets and taking circles just to prove his case. So I was like, whatever you want, I approve it, but take me to my destination. So you can feel the street from the taxi drivers. They're so talkative. Most of the talks, you have to verify. But when you find taxi drivers cursing the government, that's good news. Because simply, taxi drivers, in the crisis of the gas station, that there's no gas, they had to stand for queues for like 3 to 4 hours to have, to have gas, petrol. So they started to suffer. So when they started to suffer, they started to support, the strikes, the rebels, and so on. So the question remains, what is the exit for the Egyptians at the moment? What can we do? I'll say what I am doing, and I might be wrong, and I don't claim that's the optimum thing to do. We are a pressure group, and we will remain a pressure group to balance, the power of the regime and the power of the opposition parties or movements. And we have to start from inside out. We have to start by the grassroots democracy. We have to educate the people, first of all, yes. But in parallel, we should keep pressuring the government. There's this very basic thing. They always try to, when they want to destroy a strike or they want to kill it, they will say that those people are doing this strike for the sake of money. So we decided to tell the people that if a doctor who takes an average of $100 or 100, no, not 100, maybe 90 pounds, and he's asking for a raise, that's a human right. It's not something bad to ask for it because he has kids to raise, he cannot do that with 90 pounds, which is like 800 Egyptian pounds. So we go to the people. I do remember one of our visits to a very poor village in Said, which is in the south of Egypt. And I was shocked because I felt that I'm back to the Stone Ages. And I was trying to be nice. And I was trying not to show how, how surprised I am. So I found a young boy. I tried to be this, Amr Khalid style, making a joke with the boys like, so, do you know how to play football? And the boy was like, what is football? At that time, there was a fight in the streets for the Constitution. And at this very particular moment, everything, changed in my life. That the young boy don't know what is football. And the first thing I did, I looked in the, the houses. They're made of mud, and they have no electricity. And the boy never saw a football. They never saw a ball, Because simply they live very far from the city. They have no transportation. They They have no electricity. They have no nothing. During our cruise in the village, I noticed that all the women there are sick, and the men are average healthy. So it is a note. It's something that everybody will see. So I asked the guy why the women are sick and men are not. And he was like, because they cannot go to the hospitals. I was like, why they cannot go to the hospitals? And he was like, because they will have to take a public transportation. And I was like, okay. And the guy was like, they're not allowed to take public transportation. It's a tradition that women at this place, they don't take public transportation, they have to take a private transportation. I was like, fine, take a private transportation. And like, no, it's expensive. So how do you manage? We gave painkillers.